She unknowingly texted an infamous Mafia leader. What happened next changed everything forever. Emma Johnson woke up that morning with a gnawing pit in her stomach. The rent was due soon, and she still hadn't found enough work to cover the bills. With 2 little ones running around, chaos came with the territory. She rushed to get her 7-year-old, Mia, and 5-year-old, Noah, dressed and fed. The mornings were always a whirlwind of cereal spills and misplaced shoes, but Emma held tight to her dreams of becoming a photographer. One click closer, she murmured under her breath, trying to drown out the usual morning mayhem. With another part-time gig waiting for her at a local cafe, Emma grabbed her phone from the kitchen counter. She quickly messaged her friend Rachel, venting about the struggles and how much she couldn't wait to finally get that breakout photo. Just once I want to feel like I can breathe again. It was raw, it was real, and it was sent only. She didn't realize the number was wrong. Instead of Rachel, her heart-wrenching message landed in the hands of Tony, the Hammer, Rossi, the infamous leader of the local mafia. Tony rubbed his temples. Life had lately felt as dull as soot until he read Emma's words. The vulnerability reached out to him, catching him off guard. Damn it, he thought. How could someone so ordinary express such overwhelming emotion? The contrast between Emma's struggles and his life filled with backstabbing and betrayal ignited a flicker of intrigue in him. Slowly, he found himself typing back, offering a few pieces of advice and subtle hints of support. Emma was stunned when Tony responded. At first, she thought it was some cruel prank. But as their digital exchanges continued, each text became a lifeline between them. She bared her heart, talked about shattered dreams, and shared snippets of her photography passion. He responded with understanding, and over time, a bond began to form. Though one dipped in a dangerous undertone, however, it didn't take long for trouble to seep into her life. Mysterious cars parked outside her home. Friends started whispering, and Mia's once joyful laughter turned muted and cautious. The shadows of Tony's world encroached upon her quiet life, making every creak in the house sound like a looming threat. As despair tightened its grip, eviction notices began appearing, amplifying Emma's sense of hopelessness. She felt vulnerable, torn between her inexplicable connection to Tony and the safety of her children. Just when everything felt hopeless, Emma gathered her courage. You can't keep helping me without realizing the impact your life has on mine. She texted, her heart racing as she hit send. The air around her felt electric, the weight of her words felt both burdening and liberating. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Maybe you can be the change in your life, Emma mused, even as she dreaded what that might mean. But was Tony beyond saving? Could she, in her quest for redemption, reshape the man lurking in the shadows of her newfound connection? As the sirens began to wail in the distance, Emma felt time slow. Everything seemed to come to a head. Would she lose everything she loved? A heart-wrenching moment was upon them, leaving Emma to question if she could ever protect her family while navigating the depths of Tony's dark world. Whether his past would choke their fragile bond loomed large, and she knew this chapter was just the beginning of a tumultuous journey. The tension in Emma's chest was almost unbearable. She paced the small living room, her mind racing. What had she just done? The vulnerability of her message felt like a double-edged sword. Her heart desperately wanted to believe in the connection she felt with Tony, but the reality of who he was threatened to pull her under. I can't drag my kids into this, she whispered to herself, glancing at Mia and Noah, their innocent laughter echoing from the kitchen. They were blissfully unaware of the storm cloud forming over their lives. She should protect them at all costs. But how? Just then, her phone buzzed sharply, breaking the thick silence. Emma grabbed it, her heart racing. Tony's name flashed across the screen. A message from him. That mixture of fear and hope twisted her stomach. What do you mean by that? Tony had texted. It was direct yet tinged with curiosity. He wanted to dig deeper, and she could sense his intense intrigue. It made her uneasy, and yet, exciting. Emma paused, contemplating the weight of her answer. Should she continue to share her darkest fears with this man who danced on the edge of a criminal world? Deep down, she knew his life could pose a tremendous risk to her and her family. But something about him challenged her instincts. He wasn't just a mafia boss. He had a haunting depth that started to unravel the layers of her guarded heart. Your life is different from mine, she replied slowly, more deliberate this time. I'm just trying to find my way, scrape by for my kids while you navigate a world that pulls lives apart. A couple of nerve-wracking minutes passed. Then her phone vibrated again. You're right, Tony admitted. It's hard to see a way out when you're in the thick of it. But you're fighting for your kids. That matters. As she read his words, a shiver ran down her spine. There was truth in that, and he understood what it meant to be at war, albeit on different fronts. When the doorbell rang, Emma jumped. The sound echoed in her mind, bringing a sudden flood of anxiety. She peered through the peephole, only to find a suited man standing outside, his presence exuding authority. Her heart raced. He didn't look like just anyone, he looked like he meant business. Who is it? Mia's small voice broke the silence. I don't know, Emma replied, feeling the knot in her stomach tighten as she backed away from the door. Maybe it's just a salesman, Mom. Noah piped up, still oblivious to the warning signs swirling in the air, but Emma knew in her gut that this wasn't just a casual visit. A sense of dread settled over her. Could it be someone sent by Tony? Or worse, someone who was here to collect debts that weren't hers to pay? Taking a deep breath, Emma stepped back towards her kids. Stay close, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Her mind raced as she weighed her options. Should she talk to this man? What could he want? The doorbell rang again, this time more insistently, punctuating the thick tension. It felt like an echo of a ticking clock, counting down the moments until she had to make a choice. Should I open it? Emma asked herself, heart pounding. She glanced back at her children, who were watching her with wide eyes. They needed her to keep them safe. And as the door shook under another impatient knock, Emma knew she was at a crossroads where decisions had consequences. Would she face the darkness coming for her family, or would she shut the door and choose to fight another day? Time froze as she placed her hand on the doorknob, and she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. The moment of truth was arriving, and the decision she made would change everything. But as she hesitated, another message dinged on her phone from Tony. Don't let fear decide for you. You're stronger than you think. Emma turned her gaze back to the door. The sound of soft giggles faded into silence. She took a deep breath and finally lifted her hand toward the knob, unaware that this simple action would reverberate through their lives. What awaited her on the other side could either be salvation or destruction. With her heart pounding, she twisted the knob, ready to confront whatever lay beyond. The door swung open, and Emma's breath caught. The suited man stood before her, his expression guarded but intense. There was an air of authority about him, like he commanded respect without saying a word. She peered up at him, her mind racing and her instincts screaming for her to close the door and protect her children. But it was too late, she couldn't retreat now. Good afternoon, Ma'am, he said smoothly, his voice low and measured. I'm here to speak with you about a situation regarding your acquaintance, Tony. Emma's heart sank, its rhythm quickening as if it were trying to escape her chest. Panic seeped through her veins. They must have known something, or worse, they were here to deliver a message. She resisted an urge to slam the door right in his face. Instead, she stood tall, drawing courage from the love she felt for her children, still hovering behind her. Tony? I don't know what you're talking about, she managed to say, though her voice wavered just slightly. The man raised an eyebrow, a smirk creeping onto his lips. You might want to reconsider. This is not a conversation you want to dismiss casually. He stepped forward, as if the presence of authority alone could sway her to listen. Mia, Noah, go to your room, please. Emma urged, trying to keep her tone calm, even as alarm bells clanged in her head. No. Can't we have cookies first? Noah protested, his innocence breaking through the tension. Now, Emma insisted, and the moment was heavy. The kids shuffled away, leaving a hushed silence. I need to know what you want, she said, her voice steadier now. Whatever this is, it doesn't concern them. The man's gaze softened for a moment, perhaps surprised by her resolve. It's good that you're protective. It shows you care. But the longer you stall, the more complications arise. She felt the weight of his words settle around her. Complications? She looked at him, trying to read his intentions. Was he just a messenger or something more sinister? Listen closely, he continued, leaning slightly closer. Tony is in a precarious position. His choices affect everything around him, especially you. You're in deeper than you realize. Enough. I don't want to hear any more about Tony or anything else related to him. I'm not involved in anything. Emma was shaking now, anger lacing her voice. How dare he come into her home and threaten her? This was her safe space, her sanctuary. The man's eyes narrowed. You should reconsider your stance. The people he deals with aren't kind. They expect loyalty, and they won't hesitate to take what they want. I can't promise your family's safety if you push back. Emma stood frozen. The weight of his words felt like chains wrapping around her. What was Tony wrapped up in? Could she even trust him? The thoughts spun wildly in her mind, like a storm brewing overhead. I'm just trying to protect my kids, she replied, her voice suddenly small. I thought Tony was different. The man's expression softened again, but it was fleeting. Different or not, his world bleeds into yours now. Be smart, Emma. You need to decide where your loyalties lie. With that, he straightened, turning slightly as if he were about to leave. Wait. She called after him, desperation gripping her heart. What do I do? How can I keep them safe? He paused, glancing back, a hint of something, maybe sympathy crossing his face. Get Tony to see that you're fighting from the same side. He needs to know it's not just about him anymore. Your fight is just beginning. And just like that, he slipped down the steps and into the world outside, leaving Emma with her heart racing and her mind reeling. The echoes of his words hung in the air, tightening around her like a noose. As the reality of his warning settled in, Emma felt her phone buzz in her pocket. With shaking hands, she pulled it out. Another message from Tony. You okay? Didn't he hear back? She stared at the screen, the weight of the moment pressing down hard on her chest. How could she answer? Did she even know what to say anymore? The stakes had changed in a heartbeat, and her world was about to pivot in ways she could hardly comprehend. Before she realized it, her fingers were flying over the keys, sending a message that could alter everything. Tony, we need to talk. It's urgent. But would she find the answers she sought, or was this just the beginning of something far darker? The silence in the room felt suffocating after the suited man left. Emma stood by the door, heart racing, mind racing even faster. She glanced toward the hallway where Mia and Noah had disappeared, their laughter now just a distant echo, a fragile bubble of innocence she feared would burst at any moment. Her phone buzzed again, this time sending a fresh wave of anxiety through her. Tony's name flashed boldly on the screen. She had half a mind to ignore it, to pretend this nightmare would go away if she just stayed quiet. But the world didn't work that way, did it? She opened the message, her fingers trembling as she read, "Meet me. I'll be at the park in an hour." The park. It was a public place, a familiar ground for her and the kids, a realm where laughter always rang. But beneath the surface, a darker undercurrent churned as the weight of the man's words echoed in her mind. Why did he want to meet there specifically? Was he being reckless, or was it the only place he felt safe? Emma took a deep breath and pushed aside the urge to panic. She needed to stay grounded for Noah and Mia. They needed to trust her. But how could they when she felt so lost herself? She aimed for a semblance of normalcy, moving toward the kitchen to prepare a snack. The sound of the knife slicing into the apple calmed her frayed nerves, but it was short-lived. What if Tony wasn't who she thought he was? That question gnawed at her as she layered peanut butter on slices of apple, each spread mirroring her anxiety. The man had warned her that loyalty could cost more than she was willing to pay. "Mom, can we have the cookies now?" Mia's small voice broke through her thoughts. Emma turned to see her daughter peeking around the corner. "Sure, sweetie. I'll get them out." As she rummaged through the cupboard, she felt a fluttering fear. What if she just pulled the cookie jar down, and within it was a ticking bomb? Tony was part of something larger than her little world, and suddenly her love and loyalty felt dangerously intertwined with a shadow she couldn't understand. When the cookies were ready, she sat down. "Listen, guys. I have to go out for a little while." "No." Noah whined, his face crumpling. "Not again. Can't you just stay?" "I have to see someone about some grown-up stuff," she said, forcing a smile. "I promise I won't be long." Mia nodded, her innocent concern apparent. "Just come back." "Of course." She kissed both their heads, the warmth of their little bodies anchoring her in place, as if she could draw power from their trust. As she left the house with her purse clutched tightly, the world outside felt heavier, more chaotic, as if it were holding its breath in anticipation. The park would be full of life, children playing, families laughing. But she was worried about the shadows that might slip between those golden sunbeams. Emma parked at the edge of the park, her heart pounding in her chest as she got out. With each step, the grass sank softly beneath her feet, the vibrant colors around her in stark contrast to her growing anxiety. She spotted Tony leaning against a tree, his figure relaxed yet fundamentally alert. From a distance, he looked like the man she first met, charming, with an easy smile, but there was an edge to him now that made her pulse quicken. As she approached, she swallowed hard. Was she truly prepared for whatever was going to unfold? "Hey," he said, masking surprise with a casual smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey," she replied, feeling the weight of what she needed to say. But before she could speak, another voice broke in, low and dangerous, sending chills down her spine. "Tony, we need to talk." Emma's blood ran cold as she turned to see a figure stepping out from the shade, a man with a sharp suit and eyes that glinted like shards of ice. She looked at Tony, searching for reassurance, but what she saw in his face made her blood run colder. What had she drawn her children into? The man stepped closer, and Emma could feel the tension crackling in the air. The words she needed to say fell flat on her tongue. There was no turning back now. "Who is this?" the new man asked, his gaze flicking to her with interest. Now the real fight was beginning, and Emma was caught right in the middle of it. What had she stepped into, and would she find the courage to protect her family? The answer felt miles away and terrifyingly unpredictable. Emma stood frozen, her heart beating like a drum in her chest. The man before her had an air of authority that radiated danger. She searched Tony's face for a hint of what was happening, but all she saw was tension. His normal charm was gone, replaced by a shadow of worry. "Tony," she breathed, her voice trembling. "Just listen to what he has to say, Tony replied, his tone steely but urgent. The suited man stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "My name is Victor. I work for Tony, among other things." The last part hung in the air, ominous and heavy. "Among other things?" Emma echoed, trying to keep the slight tremor of fear from her voice. Victor's lips curled into a smirk, revealing too many teeth. "Let's just say, I know a lot about people. What do you want?" Emma's voice was stronger now, defiance creeping in. She wouldn't let fear suffocate her. "Not here, not now." He glanced at Tony. "I want to make sure you understand the risks involved, Emma. You have no idea who you're dealing with." "I can handle myself," she shot back, though doubt gnawed at her insides. "Can you?" Victor asked, tilting his head. "Can you handle the kind of loyalty Tony may expect from you?" Because, sweetie, it might cost you more than you're willing to pay. Emma clenched her fists, trying to keep her composure. What's that supposed to mean? Victor stepped even closer, invading her space. In this world, loyalty is everything. You think it's just about love and trust? You'll soon discover there are lines you can't cross. And when they're crossed, well, let's just say not everyone gets to walk away. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow that now felt starkly out of place against the tension rising around them. She felt exposed, as if every passerby could see her vulnerability. People laughed and played, completely unaware of the storm gathering right in their midst. But her focus couldn't drift. I didn't sign up for any of this. No one does, Victor replied, his smile hardening. But may I remind you? The moment you sent that text, you did. Emma staggered back slightly at the implication, grappling with the chaos swirling inside her. Every instinct screamed at her to run back to her children, to protect them. Emma, Tony said, urgency breaking through. It'll be okay. Just trust me. What if I don't? She shot back. Victor laughed, a low sound that sent chills racing down her spine. Then you might become a liability, and that's a dangerous game. Suddenly, her world felt surreal. Memories of laughter, love, and warmth began to blend with the shadows creeping closer, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. Emma thought of Noah and Mia, of all the ordinary moments she loved so much. You need to decide right now, Emma, Victor said, his tone shifting, becoming almost gentle. Will you play along, or walk away from all of this? The park, with its joyous sounds, felt like a prison. One choice hung in the air, heavy with consequence. Emma's heart raced as the weight of her decision pressed down on her chest. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted a mother with her children, laughing and carefree. The contrast made her blindness to the growing darkness even more glaring. Think carefully, Emma. Your family is at stake as well as your future. Could she summon the courage to protect her kids? Or had they already become entangled in a web of danger? Choose, Victor urged, leaning in closer, his breath cool against her skin. And in that moment, she knew her choice held the power to change everything. What would she say? What path would she choose? The answer threatened to shatter her heart or provide a glimmer of hope. Emma stood at the crossroads of fear and determination, her pulse quickening as the world swirled around her. She met Victor's gaze, a chilling confidence emanating from him that felt like ice in her veins. She had never imagined she would find herself cornered like this, facing the unthinkable. Emma, please, Tony's voice pierced through the tension. There was something in his tone urgent, pleading that tugged at her heart. Just think of the kids. Her mind raced with images of Noah's bright smile and Mia's laughter. In those moments, they were all that mattered. Protective instincts kicked in, sharpening her focus. She refused to let these threats take away her world, her family. What if I say no? She finally asked, summoning every ounce of bravery. Victor tilted his head, eyes narrowing. It was an answer that seemed to draw amusement from his twisted sense of power. Oh, sweet Emma, there's a darker path awaiting you if you refuse. Trust me, walking away isn't as easy as it sounds. His voice painted vivid pictures of repercussions sharp, cruel, and imminent. And what path would that be? Emma countered, her defiance bubbling to the surface. You think you can scare me into submission? Not scare, Victor corrected, taking a step back to examine her. I'm merely stating facts. You think love is enough to keep you safe? Things are different in our world. Loyalties shift like shadows. Her heart felt heavy, but she refused to buckle under his intimidation. You've gotten me in a mess I never wanted to be part of. How do I know you won't turn that darkness against my family if I refuse? Because, my dear, loyalty means everything. You could end up being my greatest asset or a dangerous drop in the ocean. Victor's smirk widened, distorting his features into something grotesque, like a predator circling prey. Emma glanced at Tony, his face burned with concern. I don't want this life, she said, her voice steadier now. I just want to protect my children. Victor chuckled softly, the sound almost soothing until she noticed the malice in it. Everyone wants peace, Emma. But that's not how the game is played. You can either dive in head first or watch it engulf you from the sidelines. The air felt charged, as if the very atmosphere was alive with unspoken threats. She stood amidst the laughter and life of the park, feeling like a ghost haunting a place she no longer belonged. Make your choice, or I will make it for you, Victor demanded, his voice falling into a dangerous calm. Emma took a deep breath, the fleeting warmth of her family encapsulating her. I choose to protect my kids, she said, every word laced with resolve. Ah, Victor mused, his smile fading into something more serious. Then maybe you need to learn what that really means. Just then, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket, shattering the intense standoff. A message from an unknown number lit up the screen, and her heart sank. Curiosity mingled with dread. What now? Victor's eyes sparkled with interest. What's this? New developments? I wonder if it's someone who thinks they can help you. Emma's breath hitched. Was this the moment everything shattered, or the unexpected lifeline she desperately needed? Open it, Victor urged, taking a step back to observe her reaction. And just like that, the quiet of the park faded away, leaving only the swell of uncertainty as Emma hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. What was she about to dive into? The choice loomed large. Would this be the text that unraveled everything, or could it lead her to an elusive glimmer of hope? Emma's fingers trembled as she stared at the phone, the screen illuminated with words that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The unknown number sent a chill racing through her, but it held a promise too, a glimmer of hope against a backdrop of darkness. Just open it, Victor's voice sliced through her hesitation, coarse like gravel. His anticipation hung thick in the air, and she could sense his satisfaction in her turmoil. With a deep breath, Emma pressed her thumb to the screen, her pulse pounding in her ears. The message flickered to life. Emma, we need to talk. I have information that can help protect your family. Meet me tomorrow at the old diner on Maple Street at noon. Come alone. Her heart raced, logic fighting against instinct. Who was this? Was it a trap? Emma glanced up at Victor. His smirk had transformed into a frown, the spark in his eyes dulled by concern. Interesting. How do you think they know you? The truth is, I don't, Emma replied, the uncertainty clawing at her insides. Then you have to ask yourself why you would risk going. Victor's tone was sharper now, revealing cracks in his earlier confidence. Trust is a fragile thing, Emma. Tony brushed against her, his presence grounding. What if they're on our side? This could be a chance to turn the tables. The hope in his voice flickered through the haze of dread, urging her closer to an answer. Or it could be a death sentence, Victor shot back coldly. One wrong move, and you'll put everything at risk. The park bustling with families felt like a distant memory. All Emma could see was the path ahead, lined with uncertainty and the weight of decisions unseen. She thought about Noah and Mia, her beautiful children, how their lives would be altered, forever marked by the choices she made. She could feel the pressure building in her chest as she replayed Victor's words. Could she really afford to trust this mysterious messenger? Or was this just another trap, woven with deceit and danger? With a shaky breath, Emma made a decision. Whatever your interest is in me, Victor, I want to be manipulated. I need to find out if this leads to safety for my kids. Safety? Victor's laughter was like thunder, filling the space between them with discontent. You think you control your safety? That's adorable. Emma gripped the edges of her phone tighter. Doubt surged inside her, but a wall of determination rose with it. You underestimate me, she said, a newfound fierceness buoying her spirit. But I'll find a way to protect my family, with or without you. Mark my words, Emma. You're stepping into something you can't comprehend. His voice held a razor's edge, but she squared her shoulders, feeling a flicker of courage. She would figure this out. She had to. The shrill cry of a nearby child pierced the air, momentarily breaking the tension. It reminded her of her kids, that innocent laughter that felt worlds away. Let us go, Tony murmured, his hand finding hers. We can plan, figure this out together. As they turned to leave the park, Emma cast a glance over her shoulder at Victor. The predator was still lurking, but in that moment, she felt a newfound resolve build within her. She wouldn't be a pawn in his game. What challenges awaited her at that diner? Would the message bring answers or lead her deeper into Victor's dark world? A rush of adrenaline coursed through her body, setting the stage for what was ahead. As she stepped forward into the unknown, a thought whispered in her mind: was this the beginning of the end, or an unexpected chance for redemption? Tomorrow loomed heavy with consequences. Would she find a way to reclaim her life, or would she fall further into the shadows? Morning light filtered through the curtains, casting stripes across the room like a soft spotlight. Emma lay in bed, wide awake, her mind racing as the clock ticked closer to noon. Each tick seemed to echo louder than the last, the message from the night before replaying in her head like a broken record. The mystery person, the diner, everything hung in the balance. She needed to act, but every voice inside her screamed caution. Tony shifted beside her, sensing her turmoil without needing words. You don't need to do this alone, Em. Let us talk it through again. His voice was a warm reassurance, but as much as she craved his support, the decision ultimately rested on her. Sitting up, she ran a hand through her hair. What if it's a trick? What if they want to drag me into something worse? The images of Victor's smirk haunted her, a reminder of the lurking danger she had to navigate. If it were a trap, why reach out? They say they want to help. There's a chance. He paused, searching for the right words. Look, I believe in you. Trust your instincts. She managed a small smile, appreciating his faith. It's just for Noah and Mia. I can't let anything happen to them. They're everything to me. The steel in her resolve tempered with tenderness, a mother's fierce love. Determined, Emma pulled on a simple black jacket, slipping her phone into her pocket. She glanced at Tony, who looked both worried and proud. You're coming with me, right? I can't. You know I can't, he said softly, but his gaze held steady. You need to be alone. Just like they asked. I'll be right here, waiting for you to come back. You'll figure it out. The weight of his words pressed on her heart as she squeezed his hand, each second feeling like an eternity. The road before her shimmered with uncertainty, but she took a deep breath and stepped out of the safety of her home. Today, she was stepping into a world governed by shadows. Emma arrived at the diner, parking in the lot and staring at the familiar neon sign flickering overhead. The old building had seen better days. The cracked windows and faded paint told stories of years gone by. It felt surreal that this was the place where her fate could change forever. As she walked inside, the scent of greasy fries mingled with the faint smell of coffee. A few patrons scattered at booths, but no one seemed to notice the weight of what she carried. She spotted a corner table, as instructed in the message. Time passed, each minute stretching painfully long. Just as her courage began to wane, the door chimed, drawing her attention. A man slipped inside, wearing a long coat and a hat pulled low over his face. The atmosphere shifted, electric and alive, as he scanned the room before his gaze landed on her. Emma? He asked, his voice deep and gravelly. Who are you? She demanded, her heart hammering in her chest. That he hesitated for a moment, the silence stretching taut. I'm the one who knows how to keep your family safe if you're willing to listen. An icy dread gripped her heart as she locked eyes with him. What lay beneath his words? Hope? Danger? Or a terrible combination of both? Emma faltered, her hands trembling as she fought to catch her breath. What do you mean? Meet me outside, there's much we need to discuss, he urged, gesturing toward the exit. The weight of her choice loomed over her. Stepping into the unknown had never felt so real, and yet something deep inside her whispered that this was her only chance. Would she walk out of here with answers? Or would it only lead her deeper into Victor's web? One thing was sure, she would never look at her life the same way again. As she rose to follow him, doubt began to wash over her like a tidal wave. What had she gotten herself into? The secret of Victor's world beckoned, and soon she would either uncover the truth or become lost in it. Emma's heart raced as she stepped outside, the chill of the air slapping against her skin. The man who had called her name was waiting by a rusty old pickup truck, leaning against it with an air of casual confidence. He looked up, his eyes hidden beneath the brim of his hat. There was something unsettling and yet compelling about him, as if he were tethered to secrets that could shatter lives. "Is this where I find out what you know?" Emma asked, her voice steadier than she felt. She crossed her arms, attempting to shield herself from the tension she could almost touch. He pushed away from the truck, stepping towards her. "It's not just what I know. It's about what you're willing to do to protect your family." "What do you mean?" She felt a tightening in her chest, a mix of fear and fierce determination. "Victor isn't just looking to intimidate you," he said, his voice low and almost conspiratorial. "He thinks you hold something valuable. Something he believes will give him an upper hand." "I don't have anything he wants," Emma protested, shaking her head. She could feel her legs trembling, the thought of Victor honing in on anything connected to her knocked breath from her lungs. "You're wrong." "Are you sure?" He took a step closer, his gaze penetrating. "You sent that text, didn't you? That's why he's interested in you now." The message was a beacon. "You didn't know, but that opened the door." Emma's mind spiraled. The message had been careless, just a slip of fingers, a moment where her guard dropped. "I didn't know it was him. I didn't mean to, I know." His tone shifted, softening slightly, as if sensing her vulnerability. "That's why I'm here. I can help you, but we'll need to act fast. Victor will not hesitate if he thinks you're standing in his way." "What do you suggest I do?" she asked hesitantly, swallowing hard against the lump in her throat. "Trust me. Meet me tonight at the old warehouse by the docks. There's a whole world you need to understand. If we move quickly, we can keep Noah and Mia safe." "Why should I trust you?" The words fell from her mouth like stones. "Because I'm your only option now, Emma. You have to decide: stay in the dark and let chaos reign, or step into the light and fight back." Emma's pulse pounded in her ears. The gravity of his words coursed through her. She wanted to run, to bury herself in the safety of her home and forget this conversation ever happened. But then, the faces of her children swirled in her mind, their laughter, their innocence. "Do you know what Victor is truly capable of?" she whispered, clutching the edges of her jacket. "He's a monster," he replied gravely. "But the truth is, you can be stronger than you think. The question is, are you ready to face what lies ahead?" There was no turning back now. Emma's decisions had consequences, and her sleepless nights brought her to this moment. Her mind screamed caution, but her heart resonated with the truth buried deep within, a primal instinct to protect her family at all costs. "I'll be there," she said finally, her voice a whisper carried on the biting wind. He nodded, a hint of approval flickering in his eyes. "Good. You'll need it." As he stepped back, his silhouette softened against the fading day. Emma lingered for a moment more, feeling the weight of his gaze before she turned back toward her car. An unexpected resolve surged through her. She wouldn't let fear decide her fate. Now, she had a plan brimming with uncertainty and danger. But with it came a flicker of hope, a light she had almost forgotten existed. Driving away from the diner, she didn't look back. Instead, she focused on what lay ahead. Tonight would be more than just a confrontation, it would be a reckoning. Would she find the strength within herself to face Victor and protect her children, or would she fall prey to the darkness surrounding her? As Emma merged onto the highway, shadows of doubt started to seep back in. Would she truly be safe? Then her phone buzzed, breaking her train of thought. It was a message from an unknown number. Her heart dropped. The reality of her choices was just beginning to sink in, and it felt like the ground beneath her was about to crumble. "Meet me at the docks, or you'll regret it." Fear wrapped around her, but anger ignited within. She was done waiting. Emma arrived at the docks, her pulse racing with determination. The night was heavy with an air of uncertainty, shadows stretching over the murky water. She stepped out of her car, breathing in the salty scent mingled with the aroma of looming danger. This was the moment that could change everything for her and her kids. The old warehouse loomed ahead, its worn wooden structure creaking with the weight of 1,000 secrets. As she approached, her heart pounded in rhythm with each step. Would this lead her to the answer she desperately sought or push her deeper into Victor's web? Emma. A voice called from the entrance. It was the man from the diner, leaning casually against the doorframe. He looked different now, more serious in the dim light, every inch the man she needed to trust. Why did you ask me to come here? What is the plan? She demanded, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Listen closely, he said, stepping aside for her to enter. Victor is not just a threat, he is counting on you to crack under pressure. But you have strength, and that's what we'll use. Inside, the warehouse was darker than she expected, shadows pooling like puddles at her feet. She could make out other figures in the distance, waiting, watching. You need to gather all the courage you have. Tonight is about confronting your fears, standing up for your kids, and breaking free from their grip. What do I need to do exactly? The urgency burned in her chest. Victor believes you'll play by his rules. But we're going to change the game. He looked her straight in the eye. We need to create a diversion, something that will draw Victor's attention away from you, allow you to slip away and gather evidence against him for the authorities. A surge of adrenaline mixed with fear coursed through her. What if it goes wrong? The man leaned closer, lowering his voice. If we don't act now, you'll be putting your children at risk. It's a risk you have to take. Emma took a deep breath, her mind racing with images of Mia and Noah. She envisioned their laughter, their warmth, they were everything to her. Okay, she whispered, steeling herself. I'll do it. But you have to promise me that this will get them away from Victor. They must be safe. Absolutely, he affirmed. But you need to trust me. With that settled, they laid out the plan. Emma's heart raced as she thought of the looming confrontation. She knew this was just the beginning and this dangerous path would determine the future for her family. Time seemed to fly as they executed their plan, and soon the air was electric with tension. As the clock struck midnight, everything fell into place. Victor would be there soon, and the stakes had never been higher. The room swirled with anticipation, they were ready to fight back. Moments later, the door burst open, light flooding the dim warehouse as Victor strode in, flanked by his cronies. Emma, he sneered, spotting her without missing a beat. I see you decided to join us. She stood tall, her pulse steady despite the fear twisting in her stomach. I'm not afraid of you anymore. The words rolled off her tongue with strength she hadn't known existed within her. Victor looked taken aback, amusement flickering in his eyes. Interesting choice, but you're terribly mistaken. Before he could react, the diversion they had meticulously planned erupted around them. Chaos erupted as people scrambled, confusion filling the air. Emma seized her moment, slipping away from the chaos, her heart racing as she dashed towards safety. In an instant, she found herself in her car, driving away from the chaos and shadows. The night was a kaleidoscope of emotions: elation, fear, and a fierce sense of relief intertwining. Ahead, the lights of her neighborhood sparkled like home, but deep down, she knew this fight wasn't over. Victor would come for her, targeting what he thought he could control. She needed to gather her strength, reconnect with Tony, and prepare for the fight ahead. Finally, she pulled into her driveway, seeing the faint glow of lights emanating from her home. Her heart swelled with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. She had taken a step toward reclaiming her life. As she walked through the front door, Mia and Noah's laughter wrapped around her like the warmest embrace. They were her everything, and nothing would take them away again. Mom? Noah peeked around the corner, his innocent eyes filled with concern. Are you okay? Emma knelt, pulling him and Mia into her arms. Yes, my loves, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. I'm okay. I'm here. Always. No more hiding, no more running. The battle was far from over, but they would face it together stronger than ever, ready to protect what mattered most. Tomorrow dawned with challenges ahead, but for now, they were safe, and that was enough. The warmth of family enveloped her as hope filled her heart. Emma Johnson would not be a victim. She was ready to fight for her family, the future, and a life free from the grip of darkness, and thus, with tears of joy shining in her eyes, she whispered a promise to herself and her children. "We're just getting started." Now, if this ending resonates with you, I urge you to take action. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Leave a like right this moment. Trust me, it fuels the algorithm to keep these incredible tales alive. Comment your feelings and reactions about this, and your words matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is everything.